Welcome to Your Distant Neighbor. I'm Jeffrey Bittner. Alongside me, I have the pleasure of sitting down with the Robbie Pfeffer. Welcome, Robbie.
Hello. How's it going?
Doing great. Hey, before we get started, I just want to mention to everyone that you can find the show on iTunes. We're on YouTube. You can find us on our Facebook page. Always like and subscribe and leave reviews, good or bad. I think bad reviews are even good, supposedly. Who knows?
Yeah, all press is good press.
All press is good press. So, Robbie, what's your title? When people say like, "Hey, what do you do?" Like a stranger, what do you tell them?
I guess it depends when they're asking me, and I don't know. I just I do a lot of various creative projects. I like to organize events. I like to do various artistic endeavors. I really don't think I have one specific title. I don't know if I'm professional enough at anything to have that, but I'm not like not an Esquire or anything of the sort. I just kind of try things until I'm not terrible at them, and that's kind of been what I've been doing recently.
I like it. So you're being super modest. So we're going to touch on all this stuff, but I kind of want to start from the beginning, but I'll just name a few things. So you're the headliner for the band Playboy Manbaby.
Yes.
You founded Rubber Brother Records.
Yeah, me and my buddy Gage, we founded it in 2012 or something.
2012, okay.
Yeah.
And then you started a few venue-esque areas in Tempe. One of them was the Parliament, one was the Fix Coffee Shop, right?
Yep, yeah.
So, maybe before we jump into some of these things, like have you always just had a passion for, you're like the music guy in Tempe. Like, I don't know if you know how many times I've just name dropped you and just people are just like, I'm just like, I know a guy named Pfeffer. And people were just like, Robbie.
Yeah.
You know Robbie? I'm just like, yeah, we went to high school together, you know?
Wow. Yeah, that's funny because, there's so many people doing so much cool stuff, but I really just kind of fell into doing music because I used to really just do visual art. Like, I used to just draw a whole lot. And we actually, we went to high school together,
yeah.
Which I don't know if that's disclosed, but that's all I did in high school instead of studying or anything was just draw.
You had that zine.
Yeah.
I remember that was kind of your big first
that was
passion project.
Yeah, I got into the kind of creative community thanks to just doing an art zine, and really that's how I started in with music. So it's kind of funny now, looking back at it and spending so much time putting on shows and being around the music community, because I never even knew that would be the path that I ended up on. But yeah, here we are.
So the zine, that's what kind of, you said, connected you in the music industry, because the zine featured your artwork, some originals by you, but it also featured like band notices, right? And
yeah, it had some interviews. It started out as just a way for me to publish my own comics, and then it just kind of, people started saying like, hey, can you publish my stuff too? And I'm like, yeah, totally. And then it really kind of went away from me and just kind of became this big collaborative project, and that's how I got to meet a ton of different artists and bands and start throwing shows, and all that was really thanks to just wanting to publish my own comics, which is weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it shows you, taking action usually leads to good things. And so the zine kind of rolled into, you were running the Fix Coffee Shop, which was a coffee shop, but it was also kind of a venue of sorts, right?
Yeah, totally. It was a coffee shop in the front, and then we had like a little back room that we could throw shows in. Probably fit like 60 people uncomfortably. So pretty small space, but it was a really great experience that I once again just really fell into. I just met the guy who owned the property, and he for some reason decided to let like a 20-year-old kid run his business largely without any sort of supervision, which was great. And I got to try stuff out. I got to, we put forward some good ideas, some bad ideas, but we had some really great shows, and that kind of taught me how to run shows, how to keep things going on time, what things work with other things, and I continued to meet people in the community.
Yeah. And I remember you guys had some great stuff there. I mean, there was a few open mic nights. I mean, it was just really like kind of it was a community. You know what I mean? It was an art-centered, music kind of centered community.
Yeah.
That happened to serve coffee.
Yeah, it was really great because we basically, anytime anyone would just come in and they're like, hey, I want to do this. I want to have a movie night. I want to have a night where we read poetry or do jazz music or anything, even if all of those things were just not things that I knew anything about or had any familiarity with. I was just like, cool, all right, then come in tomorrow, and that's what we're doing tomorrow. And that was really great because I got exposed to so many different things, and so many different people got to try stuff out there, which was a really great space to have.
Yeah. So the Fix got shut down. Was that for any particular reason or just the owner?
Yeah, it kind of like slowly went downhill. Like we really didn't have any money, and it really was more
That's
so
usually a crucial.
Yeah. It wasn't as much of a business as it was just kind of like in art space. It was a really fun arts venue and a really terrible coffee shop. So it pretty much came to the point where I'm like, I just want to do shows and not really worry about if we have skim milk. So that was kind of the end of it, is just, there was no real money, and we were just kind of like, yeah, so we should not do this anymore. And I was still in school at the time, and I was just basically like, I'm going to finish up school, and just kind of, we just called it off.
Yeah. And so that snowballed kind of into the idea for Parliament, right?
Yeah, after I graduated, I did some shows at some other places, and I did some shows around town and kept that going. And then after I graduated,
like kind of art shows, like
like mixed media, definitely a big focus on music, mainly concerts and stuff like that. But we did a lot of shows at this place called Long Longs, which is now shut down, has been shut down. I guess, my whole creative history is a string of places that are now shut down. So I don't know what that says, but they were definitely good times while they were going. And then did a bunch of different shows at a bunch of different places, and eventually once I graduated, I really decided I don't want to get a job. I just want to continue to do creative stuff, because that was really the thing I liked a lot more than college, was organizing shows and organizing people and doing community events. So right after I got out of college, kind of the record label and Parliament both basically started hand in hand with each other.
And this is Rubber Brother Records.
Yes, Rubber Brother Records, which was... we just recently stopped doing that, but we released, I think, about 100 records in in about 2 years, something like that. So we did a lot of stuff, through a ton of shows. It was really, really cool. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff done.
Yeah. So about that time, Parliament and Rubber Brother Records getting started.
Yes.
What was your thought behind Parliament? It was basically you wanted a venue, a creative space.
Yeah.
That you didn't have to serve coffee out of.
Exactly. I wanted a creative space that I could actually have control over instead of pseudo have control over. But also I wanted a broader kind of community thing. So it was partially like I got to throw shows that I wanted to throw there, but it wasn't just me. We also had a few different groups who kind of, with Parliament specifically, threw shows there and brought different ideas there. And that was one of the coolest parts that ended up, that was really neat, is that it wasn't, I've got a very specific type of show that I kind of like to throw. Right. And bands that I lean towards. But having other different groups in there, we had fashion shows, we had all sorts of different crazy stuff that I really have no idea I would have no idea how to do.
Put on.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I would throw a really terrible fashion show.
Yeah. So you were quoted in saying, Parliament was owned by the community. It was created to serve, and the community is the reason it was able to survive and thrive.
Yeah.
Which is such an interesting concept. And like you said, it was, you really created it for the community.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that really holds true, looking back at it, because, and I really think that the fix was kind of the rough draft for that. The fix, I really got to learn what I would want to do, what I didn't want to do. And with Parliament, I really stand behind everything as far as shows and all that sort of thing that happened there. We had, like, it was, you know, it lasted, I think, exactly 1 year. And in that time, like, we really didn't have any bad shows. Like, only like a handful, if that. Like, everything was really well attended. Everyone was really enthusiastic about it. A lot of the ideas were, like, it really just brought people to a like higher standard as far as shows went locally than I had seen previously to that point.
And you were also running Rubber Brother Records out of the Parliament, right? So
yes.
You kind of use it as a multi-purpose space.
Yeah, exactly. So that's basically what we did during the day. Is we would make tapes and answer emails and do all the kind of day-to-day work of running the record label, and then at night we would throw shows and people would practice there and people would shoot videos there and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it was kind of it was always something was happening, except for early in the morning, then everyone was sleeping.
So, I mean, was it just like you just went out and got a lease? You just leased the commercial property?
Yeah, that was a whole new process for me, like doing things semi-legitimately. I hadn't been particularly well-versed in city code and commercial insurance and all these sort of things, except for I just knew where I could and couldn't throw shows and what I could and couldn't do. Knew a lot about sound ordinance, but that whole process was brand new to me through Parliament.
So you had to find a specific place. Did they know you were going to throw shows there or no?
We were pretty vague. We told them that we needed to be able to. I don't think we ever really phrased it as shows. We were always kind of like, that was kind of how Parliament got to last a year, is because we really didn't. We kept it pretty underground. It was amazing that we had so many people show up to the shows, considering how purposely we kept it away from the public eye. Like, anytime anyone would ask to write an article about it, we would like beg them not to. And like, I remember one time someone put up a 5-star Yelp review and we had to hit the guy up and be like, "Hey, thank you. Please take that down. Like, we don't want to be on anything if you search for us." So it was all really word of mouth and then one really vague Facebook. And so we really didn't buy the books, throw shows. But we told them that we wanted to have loud music and got them to agree in our lease that we could do that, like, I think after 7 p.m. or something like that. And so that's why we didn't get in trouble at the end of it, because we're like, we kind of told you. But they're like, it became clear towards the end when, like, the neighbors were complaining and all that it was like, yeah, you kind of told us. Like, because it was at the point where there was, you know, there would be 100 kids out front of the place. And that was not what we agreed upon.
Yeah. So talk to me about the vagueness. So you said you had a vague Facebook profile, right? And basically, if people wanted to attend, you like then sent them the location, or people obviously knew about it, right?
Yeah, I don't think we really put the address up. We just kind of would we made it as a person account on Facebook. Like, we didn't have a page you could like or anything. You had to like ask to be friends with Parliament kind of thing. And yeah, we were just we wanted to keep it kind of within a small community. It wasn't really for like a Gen Pop, I'm going to a Diamondbacks game kind of crowd. It was just, you know, real like for artists, by artists kind of thing. Not to be pretentious, mainly out of survival. Just, we didn't have the means of getting a proper sound permit or the money to rent out a proper place. So, it was kind of a project that was meant to be short from the get-go.
Right.
That makes it sound really sketchy, which I guess by all means it was. But it was a really nice place that facilitated a lot of creative stuff.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about, so you kind of had the fix, and you said that was the rough draft for Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep mentioning, like, it was for the community. So have you always gotten a sense that the community needs a place where they can go and do this kind of stuff, put on shows, showcase their art, showcase, you know what I mean? Or is that purely out of the fact that 5 years ago, 10 years ago, there really wasn't like a music scene here? There really wasn't did you kind of notice all of that, and that's kind of what your thinking was, or?
Yeah, it would be way too bold of a statement for me to be like, there was no music scene, and then I created one, and then that wasn't the case at all. But it was definitely something of, I wanted things to happen that weren't happening, or I wanted to throw shows and there wasn't a place for me to throw shows. So, more and more, as I became more attached to the creative community here, it became about like, wow, I really want to facilitate this kind of positive community in Tempe specifically, just because that's where I live. And then it kind of expanded to downtown Phoenix and all that, because it's really not that far. It's very kind of intertwined the more you get into it. But yeah, I'm a strong proponent that everyone can kind of, if they want to do something, mainly just out of my own experience, if they want to do something, they're the only ones stopping themselves from being able to do that, especially creatively. Like, if you want to be a heart surgeon, you should probably get some professional training. But if you want to, throw concerts, you can figure that out by yourself. If you want to learn how to do these things, like, you can just meet the right people and, make that kind of thing happen. So I wanted to create more opportunities for people to do that. And from what I saw, that made this place more interesting to live in.
Do you think part of the reason that these things succeeded as well as they did was because others had a vested interest? It wasn't just you, it was, other people got to perform, other people got to put their shows on, so they wanted it to succeed.
Oh yeah, 100%. It really, I feel like I have a knack for organizing groups of people. So, I really liked that aspect of it. But if there was no one to be a part of it, then it would be nothing. It would be worth really nothing. So, I was glad to get to work with so many different people and get to help people kind of express themselves creatively and try different weird ideas and all that sort of thing. And that, without those people, it would just be me asking people to come to my show, and that's it.
Yeah. Which becomes
yeah, that's a different thing. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just different than kind of what I was doing.
Yeah. So while you started Parliament, I want to dive a little bit more into Rubber Brother Records.
Yeah.
So what was the thought process behind that? And did that kind of flow into Parliament? Because I know you guys were planning live shows with Rubber Brother Records, right?
Yeah. It was fairly linked as far as the concept went, because of the fact that, it was a lot of the same people within it. We basically wanted to create a label that would be able to put out albums for a bunch of people who we knew who were making cool stuff that no one was really taking a whole lot of interest in. There was no one who could really be the cheerleader for these local bands, and that was kind of what we wanted to do, because we knew everyone and just wanted to see if we could kind of get more people to realize, like, oh, you like these guys? Well, maybe you'd like these guys too. And it was really just as simple as that.
So talk to me a little bit about, for someone who's knows nothing about the music industry, like, what does a label actually do? So what was your guys' job? You promoted, you promoted them, right? I mean, that's kind of what you were talking about.
Totally. There's a few different ways you can run a label, and there's kind of like the classic, if you sign the Eagles approach, where it's like, you know, you're taking the band to the studio and, you know, you're, you know, putting them on tour and all that sort of thing. And it's this big kind of cumbersome thing. And that's not really what we did. We were just more kind of like, we'd help them book shows if they wanted to book shows. And our main thing was that we made tapes, so we made like physical merch for them to have.
Yeah.
And that was our main deal. So we gave them something that they could actually like take away from it, and then just tried to help spread the word as much as we could on any of the bands. And that was kind of that was our main set of things we provided. But yeah.
What kind of genius of the helping them book shows tied straight into the Parliament aspect of it?
Yeah, exactly. It was all very, you know, kind of interconnected.
You had your own good old boys club, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. No, I mean, it really helped to have the infrastructure to provide all these things. Like we could, you know, make an album, take it in, shoot a music video, and do a release show, and like not have to leave the place we're at. Like we could do it all in-house, which was really, really kind of like the greatest thing possible for us at the time.
And so part of the merch you guys did was you talked about tapes. What was the inspiration behind tapes?
Well, tape culture just kind of really...
You're talking physical cassette tapes.
Yes, physical cassette tapes. That was our sole medium. We did that, and then we would print shirts too. We did some screen printing, but as far as music was distributed, we had the stuff online, but then the only way you could get it in real life was on cassette tape. And there's a lot of labels that kind of inspired us to it. Like we didn't come up with it, but there was a real still it's a big part of like independent music culture. But the cassette tapes are great because, you know, you can make them in small runs. You can make them yourself. You can really kind of customize them and make them whatever you want. And it just worked perfect for the size of label we were, because there still is like a big like vinyl revival, but you cannot make vinyl really independently in small runs. You can't do it in the same way that you can with cassettes, because you have to have big manufacturing equipment and all that sort of thing
to do the vinyls.
Yeah, and we figured that anyone could make their own CDs, you know.
You're right.
Yeah, you can just burn them on your computer. Like, it's really not that hard. So then we really wouldn't be providing anything. So that's kind of what we figured is like, cool, we'll figure out how to do this, and that's what we'll provide.
Was it more expensive or cheaper to do cassettes, or?
Than vinyl? Yes. It's probably comparable to CDs, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting. So then, did people go out and get cassette tapes? This is so that when they still had them in their cars, or they went out and got cassette players? Well,
yeah. I mean, it's more of a. It's not necessarily. Yeah, exactly. Okay. It's more like a collectible than, like, some people are really down with that format. Like, you know, now I own a bunch of cassettes and I'll listen to cassettes and all that sort of thing. But I think it's more about just having a physical piece of merch. Like, you can get it. We're not looking to make it like a limiting thing where you can't listen to it any other way. You know, I'm just not trying to be that exclusive about anything. So it's just, you could get the digital download, you could get the tracks in an easy format where you can listen to it however you want, because I don't want to stop people. But then you have the tape, you have the option to play it, and then you have something from the band.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So, fast forward. Well, Playboy Manbaby.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna read a few things. Phoenix New Times says Playboy Manbaby's infectious live presence stems from frontman Robbie Pfeffer, whose antics alone are worth the price of admission. Few band leaders have what it takes to make their band's live show shine. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, how did Parliament and Rubber Brother Records turn into what you're doing now and Playboy Manbaby? Wow.
Well, I've kind of got this. I just realized I was talking to a friend recently, and I was talking about the fact that basically everything I do has like a 2-year maximum on it. Like it's just kind of, it just kind of fits in with how it's not even like I plan into it. It's probably the opposite of it. I just kind of, I go into stuff and it's like, let's try this out. Let's see what happens. And,
it just life cycles
yeah,
out.
It's just kind of like just like with the label, all those bands that we were trying to get people to notice, a lot of them are now like, they're doing cool things. Like they've gotten noticed and they're starting to do rad stuff. And, but Playboy Manbaby has been the project that is past that 2-year mark. So I've been doing that. I started that when, The Fix was around. I think in late 2011, and then kept it going throughout, and now it's still going today. And that's really my main project right now, which has been fun. But yeah, that like the band has been something that's been way cooler than I would have ever expected. It's like provided some of the most fun experiences that I've ever gotten to be a part of, for sure.
Being someone that was big into visual art,
mm-hmm.
Did you always know you had an interest in music, or was it just something that because you were around so many bands and shows, you were just like, oh, I'm going to give this a try?
No, actually. I really didn't think I would be a musician in any ways. I mean, I'm really still not, in the fact that I'm not a very competent person who, like, I can't play instruments very well. that's just a fact of it. Like, I get the gist of guitar, and that's about as far as I go. But I got into, because of the zine again, we did open mics, and I got into doing spoken word, and that kind of led me into being in a band that was basically spoken word. And that was the first band that I got into. And then once that one stopped, then I was like, I want to be in more of a punk band. And then I met up with some friends and we made Playboy Manbaby. And it's evolved a hell of a lot since we started it. But, yeah, I really did not expect it. I always thought I would be more behind the scenes stuff or just drawing. And drawing is the opposite of being in a band. It's you alone in a room with very, like, no real instant reaction at all.
Right.
You just put stuff out there and you're like, yeah, maybe people will look at it, maybe they won't. I don't really know. But a band, if you're playing a show, the response is immediate. You know, it's like, these people like it, or these people want me to leave. You get that, like, immediately, which is a completely different way to experience art, and something I'm really glad that I have been able to.
Yeah, and so I know you guys kind of have this twist, right? And I think one of your band members said you ultimately want the experience of the show to be just as much theater as it is a punk show, right?
Yeah.
And there's this very, I almost say famous because I've seen it half a dozen times now, this clip of you've got a chef's hat on and you're yelling, we're Playboy Manbaby, everyone gets a pizza. And you just start handing out pizza. Talk to me about the theater aspect of what you guys are trying to do.
Well, that's what's so fun about this band is it's it's not a joke band, but it's not a serious band, and that kind of fits us as people. Like, we're not like Morrissey type people. We're not really super heavy or serious. We're just kind of like, hey, yeah, okay, like everything, it's fine. Like, let's just have a good time. So it fits us as people really well, which opens us up to do all these really weird things and have it make sense contextually. And that was really awesome, specifically giving out pizza to people, because we just played in Mexico recently. And in Hermosillo, Mexico, the guy who put on the show saw that clip and went to a local, like a Mexican pizza place and got them to donate like 7 or 8 boxes of pizza. And he's like, here, this is what you do, right? And we're like, I guess so now. So it was just a one-off thing where it was just like, you know what I mean? Like, it would be funny to just, you know, the whole concept of that show was, let's pretend we're very serious chefs and then just do really awful recipes. And then the end of it, we'll just get everyone Little Caesars pizza, because that's like the worst food we could come up with. And then, but yeah, then they got us the fact that then extended to us being able to give out a bunch of free Mexican pizza that was really cool. So yeah, I don't know if that was on topic for that question, but that happened and that was really great.
No, that's perfect. I'm gonna try and find the video. I'm gonna put it on the page when we post this, and
yeah.
So that way anyone can go see the famous "Everyone Gets a Pizza" clip. And
yeah,
so what
that
other...
was perfectly timed. I can't remember who shot that, but whoever did, they got like the perfect like glorious. 6 seconds.
It was glorious. So
yeah.
what other theater-esque things have you done? I've seen you guys in astronaut uniforms. I've seen you guys dressed up as YMCA.
Yeah.
I've seen obviously the pizza.
Yeah. We've done a few different. We've done a game show. We've done we did a presentation for a pyramid scheme that we made up, and then we've done a couple times. Because I think the greatest showmanship is televangelist preachers. So we've done a couple of our own like made up church with like really odd rules, but really, really, really excited, really amped up. Really passionate about just completely non sequitur rules to a religion that we made up. But yeah, we want to do more stuff like that, and because it's just super fun and it kind of breaks it up, especially in Phoenix, because of the fact that most of the people who know our band and most of the people that we know are in Phoenix, so we play a lot in Phoenix, and we don't want to just keep. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, that band, I know exactly what to expect if we go see them. So, yeah, it's kind of nice to break it up. But, yeah, if we got to try that kind of stuff more on the road, that'd be crazy. But no one has any expectation for us on the road. So it's kind of, you know, then you get to do something new just by showing up.
Right. So, and is that kind of where the theater thing came from? It is hey, you know, let's give, you know, so, I mean, I went to my first concert with you. Yeah. Do you remember that? Valiant Thor?
Yeah, totally.
And we saw Valiant Thor a couple different times.
Yeah.
And
yeah. No, that was great. I got like super obsessed with them in high school because I was just like, what? Yeah.
And one of the things was like, you just never knew what you expected.
That's exactly
from the show.
Yeah.
And that's not always the case with other bands. And so that was a big thing for you, was because we have a lot of local fans, we're going to be performing a lot here.
Yeah.
You know, let's figure out a way to make it different.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think that's so funny because I think about this a lot in that the band Playboy Manbaby, I think me at 16, I would super dig. That's kind of like what we're like shooting for, is like, would I at like 14, 15, 16 be like, that band rules? And that's kind of that's what I'm shooting for, I guess. That's the high art judgment. So yeah, but if I would be like, yeah, that's boring, I don't want to see that, then I don't want to keep doing it. But yeah, I think that my 15-year-old self would dig what we're doing now.
Yeah. That's so funny. So you guys recently went on a tour.
Yeah, we just got back.
Where'd you guys go?
We just got back from the East Coast, and we did a lot of dates in New York. We played Philadelphia, Boston, Chicago, and then a lot of like littler cities in between there on the way there and the way back. But yeah, it was the best tour we've ever been on, and it was just like beautiful out there because it wasn't quite cold yet. Yeah, I had so much fun with that. Being able to do that is just really wild to me.
Yeah. Are you guys self-organizing the tours, or?
Yes.
Okay.
At this point, we are self-organized.
Is that a pretty big ordeal? I'm guessing it is.
Yeah, totally. Especially in places where you have no context, because you're just basically convincing someone of just like, hey, I know you've never heard of us, and I know no one in your city has ever heard of us. How about you throw us a show? Which is really easy. It's like, sure, I'm going to spend time doing that. But, yeah, so for some of them, it's like finding the right person and making it happen is kind of like being a detective, because you have to like ask a person like, hey, do you know this? You know, this is what we're looking for, and we don't know if it exists in your city, but who's the guy who does that? And then convincing that person that it's a reasonable thing to spend their time on to put on a show for us. So yeah. It's interesting.
So is it like you sending them YouTube links and?
Yeah, it happens pretty much exactly how you would imagine. I just have to convince strangers to put shows on for us. And it helps a lot because we know a lot of bands from, bands who played with us in Phoenix, and just kind of, we know a lot of people who play music all around the country. So that really helps. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of just sending out messages and hoping people respond.
Yeah, and then trying to get them organized in somewhat of a timely fashion so that they can line up, right?
Yeah, and this time, I think last tour we did, we had like a couple, we had like 2 dates that we didn't have a show for, which is fine for early touring. That's completely reasonable. But this time we didn't have any breaks. We just, every single day we had a show. It all really lined up real well. Most of the shows were super good. So yeah, that's not supposed to happen, but it did.
What kind of reception are you getting in other states?
Really good. I think that we work back best in a specific context, and we've been trying to kind of give ourselves the best shot of setting up that context. Because when we first started as a band, we played a lot of house shows, and that was really kind of how we learned how to be a band, is like, oh, it's just a party. Like, I get that. Yeah, let's just throw a really good party. So that's kind of our... Now that we're on the road and like basically restarting in every city, of just like, we've got to convince people that this is worth checking out, and then coming back and checking out again if we come back. We tried to book it as much as we could in like the weirdest places we could. So we tried to book a lot of like warehouses and house shows and basements and stuff like that. So it wasn't, like, we could play a bar in every city, but you're just another band at a bar then. And we thought that was really boring. And anytime we did, we had a couple times where we had to play a bar. Anytime we did, it kind of sucked. I think we played like one good bar show.
16-year-old Robbie can't get into a bar.
Yeah, exactly. 16-year-old Robbie's pissed about that. So, yeah. So we wanted to make sure we were playing interesting shows. And we got to play a lot of interesting shows. So that... With that context, we did really well. Like, playing, like, basement parties and stuff like that, it was, like, out of control. And it's really crazy to be the entire way across the country, and then have, like, a similar reaction that you would 10 minutes away from your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was super cool.
Awesome. So what do you guys have in the works?
We are working on an album that we are taking forever on, and... that is our main focus. We just finished the last show that we had on the books. We're going to do a lot of touring next year, supposedly. But we gotta finish this album first.
Any projected release dates?
No clue. I really wish I had the answer for that. But yeah, it is in progress. TBA.
I like it.
Yeah.
If someone wants to, let's say someone's brand new is listening to this, and they wanted to check out your music, what's the best place? What's the best place for them to go?
We have playboymanbaby.com, actually. We also are on Bandcamp. If you're comfortable Googling Playboy Manbaby, then you can find all of the needs. We have a few different albums up there. I think you can play them all for free and all that sort of thing. So, not a huge commitment. And we're on Spotify and iTunes and all. Now we're on all the legitimate music channel things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll put a few links. You guys you're on Spotify and iTunes, huh?
Yeah. We our bass player figured out how to do that, so he turned us into a legitimate band.
Kudos to the bass player.
Yeah, right.
Kudos to where do you prefer I send people? iTunes or Spotify?
Spotify.
Is that it?
I think so. Or Spotify or Bandcamp. I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless they want to download it. But I don't know. I guess whatever their preferred medium. I guess that's why we're on the multiple mediums, because people make different decisions. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, dude, I really appreciate you coming and hanging out. And I just think you're a huge inspiration for a few of the nuggets that you said today, which is just, if you want to do something, just do it. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be what everyone else is doing. As long as it makes you happy, just do it. And if you just figure it out, you know what I mean? You're not going to die.
Yeah.
Most likely you're not going to die.
And if you do, you were going to die anyway. So, but I think everything's worth a shot. I mean, it's cool catching up with you and seeing, you're doing the same thing right now. So
yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. It's super cool. But yeah, thanks for having me here.
Of course, man. Thank you so much. So just to wrap up, everyone, again, Your Distant Neighbor. Like us on iTunes, subscribe, put a review in there. You can always check us out at yourdistantneighbor.com. Got a bunch of great nuggets up there. I post all the links to people's information, photos. You're gonna see the everyone gets a pizza video on there, so it'll be good stuff. Thanks, everyone.